So thanks once again for passing by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you felt it was useful, if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of it. Now let's get into this. So Kell Brook made his return last night. He made his return last night, £154 against Mark DeLuca, and questions were asked to Kell Brook, prior to this. Was the hunger there? Would the inactivity? Because Kell Brook had been, very inactive, 14 months out of the ring, hadn't fought at all in 2019. I've heard reasons why, but we're not going to get into that. He hadn't fought at all in 2019, so a lot of questions were asked about Kell Brook. Was he a welterweight? Was he a £154 fighter? A lot of things. How would he look, when he gets in there? Because even though Mark DeLuca, not the greatest fighter from, a technical point of view, not a top level fighter by no stretch of the imagination, he could still give Kell Brook problems if Kell Brook was, past it. Because as Sky said, a lot of fighters can grow old overnight. Now, the first two rounds, cagey rounds by Brook, but after that we kind of saw glimpses of the old Kell Brook, getting the shots off, throwing the shots with power. Kell Brook's always had decent power there. And, he obviously got Mark DeLuca out of there, done a job on him, bashed him up a bit, and then got him out of there. So, against someone like DeLuca, Kell Brook looked fine. The questions have been asked. Kell Brook said that he wants to be back in the gym Monday morning. He wants to get out as quick as he can. Eddie Hearn alluded to that, and that they're going to try and get the Liam Smith fight out there. But I think Kell Brook, he's on. I'm making a video about him. I'm asking, has he got a big problem? I'm thinking he does, because when I look at Kell Brook, I really do see a welterweight. I think that's his best division. But Kell Brook, if he was ever to go back down to 147, he'd be a dead man at that weight. But I think that's his best chance of winning another world title. And I think if he wanted, I'm going to talk about the Amir Khan fight, but I think that fight is never going to happen. I think that fight's dead in the water. But if he was ever to get the Amir Khan fight, Amir Khan would want that fight at £147. He wouldn't want it at 154. He'd want to do whatever. He probably wanted I think he even said in the past he wanted a rehydration clause if Kell Brook was going to fight him at £147. So, Amir Khan, that fight's dead in the water. And I think that fight has lost its appeal. A couple of years ago, I would have loved to have seen that fight, whereas now, I really am indifferent. Like, if I saw both guys in the ring, it would almost be like watching, and this is an extreme example, but it would almost be like watching the rematch between Hopkins and Roy Jones, where neither guy is as good as they were. So it's not really, it just loses something, or a bit like Mayweather Pacquiao, where both guys are not in their prime, and that thrill factor's just not there. It's just not there. And I think that would be the same way for Kell Brook versus Amir Khan if the fight was ever to happen. It's just lost that flair. So I don't really mind if that fight never happens. But Kell Brook down at welterweight, there's guys like Manny Pacquiao who he could fight. He could have had that fight a couple of years ago. Let's not forget, people always make out as though Eddie Hearn done a bad job on Kell Brook's career, making him take the Golovkin fight. He didn't force him into it. We offered him the Golovkin fight. Kell Brook took that fight. Let's not forget that prior to Kell Brook taking that Golovkin fight, he was IBF welterweight champion. Jesse Vargas was WBO welterweight champion, and there was serious talk of unification. In fact, I think it was more or less a done deal that they were going to have a unification. That fight fell through. Kell Brook took the Golovkin fight. Vargas got the Pacquiao fight. Now, had Kell Brook won that fight, which I think he would have, the Vargas fight, if he'd had it, he could have got a fight with Manny Pacquiao. And could you imagine, at that time, Manny Pacquiao was still kind of, meh. I think we've got a better Pacquiao now than we did a couple of years ago. So imagine Kell Brook winning that fight. Imagine the things Kell Brook could have done off the back of that if he'd just gone and maybe took the slower road, but with bigger returns, rather than just taking that road that led to Golovkin and just, ending up where he is now. So sometimes you got to look at things. You got to look at things for the big picture. You got to look at things down the road. And I think that although people say Eddie Hearn put Kell Brook in that fight, this, that and the other, Kell Brook has a tongue in his mouth. He could have said no. He could have looked the long road, but he didn't. So I always go back to that. When people say it's Eddie Hearn's fault, it's not necessarily Eddie Hearn's fault. You got to shoulder the blame. Everyone has a choice. When I look at Kell Brook now, and let's not look at the welterweight division, look at the 154 pound division. That's where I think he's going to stay. Liam Smith, that's the name we're hearing. That's the name we're hearing next. Liam Smith of a few years ago, against Kell Brook of a few years ago maybe would have been a bit interesting. I think Liam Smith was never really that good. Durable, game, comes to fight. But as of lately, like, who has he been fighting? He lost to Munguia, been nearly 2 years ago now, and he's fought literally nobody. He had that one fight against Sam Egerton last year, which he won. That was a main event. And then he had two fights. Was it 2 undercard fights at some of the zone shows in America and in the Mexico? And that's it. They were like 8 rounders. So, like, what's he doing? What's he doing with himself? He's not doing much. So you could do this fight. You could maybe sell it as, a main event of a Sky Fight Night. Maybe do it in London or somewhere like that. Because I doubt Kell Brook's going to go Liverpool. I doubt Liam Smith's going to go Sheffield. So maybe do it on neutral grounds in London or somewhere like that. But still, like, what? What's the big picture? What's the big plan? Kell Brook saying maybe a year, 2 tops. Look at the 154 pound division, because that's Eddie Hearn saying that's going to be a final eliminator for the WBO title, and that's held by a guy, Patrick. I can't remember the guy's last name, but the Brazilian guy. He's probably Kell Brook's best chance of winning the world title at welterweight. Okay, and there is talk that Spike O'Sullivan may get that fight against that guy. That's what Golden Boy are saying, but I think that guy has a WBO mandatory as well, so it's unknown. It's a bit up in the air with that guy, but he would be probably the weak link at that division, because this is that Patrick, I think it's Trezraxa or something like that is how you pronounce it. He was knocked out a couple of years ago in 2 rounds in bad fashion by Curtis Stevens of all people, and Curtis Stevens isn't even that good. So he is, in my opinion, be one of the weak links of that division. So if Kell Brook was to get a fight with him, yeah, maybe Kell Brook could do something. But if you look at guys like Hurd, maybe he could do something against Hurd. Never really rated the guy. But if you look at guys like Charlo, although I don't think Jamel is as good as people make him out to be, I think he's fresher than Kell Brook. I think he'd probably beat Kell Brook on points. Lara, what does Lara have left? If he has a little bit left, he could do some work on Kell Brook. We know Lara's an awkward customer. We have that guy, is it Jason Rosario? Is that the guy's name? Who beat Julian Williams? I know he's rematching Williams. Williams is a good fighter. Only bad thing about Williams is a bit chinny. So if Williams was to fight Rosario again and he was to win, maybe Kell Brook could target that fight. But the guys at 154 pounds are good fighters. So Kell Brook, he really needs to put all his eggs in the Liam Smith basket. Hopefully he can get that fight, and if he can get the win, maybe fight for the WBO title, because I think that's his best route to a world title at 154 pounds. Because I think Kell Brook, he's not lived a life over the years. As we know, he's blown up in weight. He's had other issues that I'm sure most people are aware of outside the ring, about certain things, the stabbing in Tenerife being one of them. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but I've heard stories about what that stabbing was about. So, Kell Brook, he's definitely not lived the healthiest lifestyle of a fighter over the years, and I just wonder what's next for him. Where is he going? Definitely don't think he should go back to welterweight. I think at welterweight he's a dead man at the weight, not necessarily fighting the guys. I think at welterweight he's going to be too drained, as Eddie Hearn said. With Kell Brook at welterweight, he's putting on all this extra weight overnight because he's rehydrating, and then he's bloated in the ring. So I think 154 is the best weight for him, but it's just going to be interesting to see where he goes from here. But I wish Kell Brook all the best, because I've always been a fan of Kell Brook. I quite like watching him fight, but I just think this version of Kell Brook, there's still things we need to see, and I still don't think I think his best chance, as I said, is 154 pound is to go for the WBO title. I think the other champions out there, I don't think he beats them, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, of course, if you are new, and as always, I will talk to you after.